I'll
Go
start
ahead.
again.
Thank
What was really what showed up in our group was the less distractibility and the slowing down into the concentration of what seems to matter for each individual. So this is a building.
My fault. It's 5 o'clock. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. There's a building of, I want to say, they talked about the reflux capacitor. And I think I found a statement for myself, a receptor transmission capacitor, accelerator, accelerator.
How about accelerator extraordinaire?
And Tanta, when I was saying, it's so great when I was saying to the Mimsies that when I met them, I was a child, that the way in which they held us, and see you and me, and was so precious. So they were so happy to be with us. We had no idea, well, what are you happy about? And now, now that we're teenagers, can appreciate more what they're excited about. And it was great being a child with them. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Who's next?
Yeah, Sarah, that was so beautifully stated. Reciprocity. I've really been observing this flow of experience and then receiving from that experience. So our group spoke about that as well. And really feeling the flow of that now, whereas not having felt it before.
Thanks, Liz. Just open your mic. What are you present to? What do you want to share about what you felt in the group? Whatever's there.
Similarly, Liz, we just talked about our gratitude for the field, and the way in which each person shows up to do what's theirs to do. Because, and Sarah, you spoke to not being so distracted by what's distractible, because there is so much out there that's distractible, and yet here we all are, and that for me is what continues to keep me holding hope for humanity.
Being a general topic right at the moment, everything is pretty much melted and everything else. But it is totally okay to hold hope for humanity and no longer need to hold hope for yourself. It is also totally okay to hold hope for humanity and hold hope for yourself. It's different experiential states of being, nothing more, nothing less. There is also totally okay to hold hope for yourself and not hold any hope for humanity. All versions of whatever each of you is present to is completely your direct experience in moments of now. They aren't conclusions, just as the conversation went on about all there is to observe and assign, and in that there's access, that things happen simultaneously and reciprocally, it's also true in the non-dual realms that there is no right or wrong, good or bad emotion, because it's whatever in time, in what Anne called timeless time. There's only be here now. And every be here now is only a moment in time that a thought or a statement from that thought occurs. It doesn't necessarily mean anything about yesterday, nor does it mean anything about tomorrow, nor does it mean anything about the split second before, nor does it mean anything about the split second after. There is something in human communication that is distinct in that we are in communication, not in communication with another, but we are always in communication, and that the mind of creation is always receiving the communication. So let's say, I'll do a little make-believe. Let's say that there are 3 conversations going on at every single moment in time, 3 possibilities of conversation in regard to what Janice shared. I have hope for myself, but I do not have hope for humanity. I have hope for humanity, but I do not have hope for myself. I have hope for humanity, and I have hope for myself. All 3 of those can be very real in any split second of time. What's most important about it is when you're operating in a unified field. And remember the reciprocal and simultaneous moment. And unfortunately, I have to stretch it into a subject object. They have to stretch it into a subject object. But in that simultaneous thing, you have been reporting what you are observing and what you've assigned because it is your experience. However, where you're observing and assigning, you've given access to all of it. So in balance, harmony, symmetry, and proportion, everything's part of everything else. Everything's in relationship with it, with everything else, and everything operates on behalf of everything else. It resets the field where none of the conversation need occur. So what Sarah spoke to about this experience of not being so distracted, when those 3 statements all have a place, it's a distraction. When none of those places when none of those statements even have that there is no, that those statements are not part of the repertoire of human experience. And be careful here, because you're likely to say you as a personality need to get someplace. This isn't about that. This is about a metacognition. There is the potentiality of simply a different conversation that is not a new version of what if all 3 existed in the same place in the same time, but is a version of what if none of it existed at all. In other words, so in your craving template, those of you that do that, when you do the craving 3 template and the craving 4 template, you're not writing a contrast between something and something else. You're writing peace that has no war. You're writing joy that has no sorrow. It becomes the baseline of something that is the meta mind or the metacognitive experience that we are on the border of. And why they are saying this is because the reason we're here, and it's hard not to devolve it into a course, but the reason we're here is that they are tending to the border of metacognition. And so don't go down the tube, but there's something for you to do, or something for you to have, or something for you to think. This is their work with us, and only asking me to say certain things so that the metacognitive mind that is forming in each of you can say, wow, I think a year ago, for those that were participating, I broke myself of all contrast because I was right at the verge of a new metacognitive capacity. And I could tell that in contrast, I was keeping both in place. So I think it's John, I think it's John Lennon, I'm pretty sure, that sings the song. Oh no, it's Neil Diamond. It's one of them. If I can find it, I'll play it. But there was no contrast. It was just explaining. It was just sharing, assigning perception to a world and what that world was like and how that world was experienced, which had nothing to do with the contrast of that world. So that's a little nugget for your explanation. And so what's going to happen is we're going to take a bathroom break because we're almost at the end of the time. I want to read what Benita shared. She has no mic. She said, I always knew I have had a direct link with creation, but never to the extent I'm experiencing it now. I have so much energy moving with me, body sensations, pressure in the head, a huge amount of heat swirling. Knowing we're all together, I asked them if they could hear me, even though I cannot express through verbal language in a room. I almost fell over in a huge yes with chills coming into my field and body. I will forever be changed by our interactions with the Mimsies. So we have 2 minutes before, I have no idea, we may be complete. I actually don't know. I just know that whatever's happening now, we're going to take a bathroom break, which will be about 5 minutes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to see what's present in the field. We may just keep it open to sharing. I may have received a language, but I do know, and I promise you, that the more you open up your mic and share, the more the capacity to increase the metacognition capacity available to us individually occurs. So see you in about 5 minutes.